Hey everyone, Eterna here. In 2023, I did a lot of traveling, and I got on a lot of new coasters. I started off the year at 216 coasters, and I'm now sitting at around 349 roller coasters. So I've been on over 130 new coasters this year alone that I haven't been on before, and I decided to rank them against each other. To avoid confusion, this list is not about new coasters built in 2023, but the new coasters I rode for the first time in 2023. I was inspired to make this video from Coaster Dash's video, so make sure to check his out too. Number 15, King Ka at Six Flags Great Adventure. Starting off our list at number 15 is the current tallest coaster in the world. King Ka reaches heights of up to 456 feet. It may be a short ride, but that launch of up to 128 miles per hour is insane. This is one of my favorite rides at Six Flags Great Adventure, but it's not the only one to make this list. Number 14, Steel Dragon 2000 at Nagashima Spa Land. The only Giga coaster to make it onto this list is Steel Dragon 2000. I find Steel Dragon 2000 to be a really underrated coaster, as it's commonly around the bottom of people's Giga rankings. But personally, I find it to be near the middle of the pack, above Millennium Force and Orion, but still below Leviathan. Steel Dragon 2000 was in competition with Millennium Force to become the first Giga coaster, but Millennium Force opened just a few months before taking that title. I find Steel Dragon 2000 to be like a large version of Magnum XL 200 at Cedar Point, just without the insane ejector airtime on the return trip. But the return trip on this ride still has some pretty good airtime. Number 13, Jersey Devil Coaster at Six Flags Great Adventure. Jersey Devil Coaster was my favorite coaster during my Six Flags Great Adventure trip, mostly because El Toro was actually closed. I said this in my top 50 video, but I'm shocked at the amount of hate this ride gets. I feel like it's exactly what a lot of coaster enthusiasts are asking for. Whippy transitions, and great inversions, and you can't forget that it's made by Rocky Mountain Construction. Number 12, Fujiyama at Fuji-Q Highland. Yet another underrated Japanese coaster on the list. Fujiyama is an incredible coaster that I got some great rain rides on. This coaster is always forgotten about because it's surrounded by Asian Naika and Takabisha, and don't forget about Dodonpa too. Those three rides just completely overshadow Fujiyama to most people. I mean, after all, it's just an old Togo hypercoaster, isn't it? Well, Fujiyama is a great hypercoaster, and while it may not have that crazy airtime experience that you get on B&M hypercoasters, it makes up for it by just being a pure fun experience. I also may be a bit biased because of those incredible rain rides I got. Number 11, Baron 1898 at Efteling. Most people know this as the themed B&M dive coaster, and it's true. Everything from the actual ride to the pre-show is amazing. The whole experience is well themed, and when it comes to riding the actual coaster, you get into a whole other great experience. Baron 1898 packs in two inversions in a short dive coaster layout. The drop into the tunnel is also incredible. Baron 1898 isn't just a roller coaster, it's an experience. Number 10, Batman Gotham City Escape. I know this one is controversial, but this ride just didn't hit as hard for me. I'm seeing some pretty big names call this the best new ride of the year, and I just don't see it. With a height of 147 feet and a top speed of 64.6 miles per hour and 4 hull inversions, the layout itself is definitely really good. In fact, the whole ride itself is definitely high quality, and is one of the best new rides of the year. Batman Gotham City Escape gives vibes of a Velocicoaster, mixing together an amazing layout with good theming. That being said, there were just many other rides I enjoyed more this year, but that's not to say that this ride is bad. It's definitely a great ride that a lot of enthusiasts should go out and get on. Number 9, Conda at Walibi Belgium. Conda is the newest roller coaster to open at Walibi Belgium. It's a pretty unique ride. First, it starts off with a twisted drop, giving you vibes of Expedition G-Force. Then it goes into a unique one-of-a-kind element called the non-inverting Cobra Roll. The finale is a series of small pops of airtime that can send you flying. And don't forget about how cool the station looks too, because oh my gosh, it is beautiful. Number 8 is Untamed at Walibi Holland. Untamed is the first RMC on this list, and it definitely does not disappoint. It's still smaller in scale, but the elements still hit. Just not as hard as other small scale RMCs like Twisted Timbers, but they still do really hit. While the elements were definitely hitting, the whole ride was running pretty slow when I was there, but it was definitely still a great and enjoyable experience. This ride gives me hope that maybe the wooden coaster at Walibi Belgium has a good chance of getting RMC'd in the future. We can only hope. Number 7, Tonnerre to Zeus. This is a magical ride, but not because of how you normally ride it. Tonnerre to Zeus's back row is backwards facing, and it is an absolute magical experience. I think you can see from my reaction to it on the screen right now, but this thing just sends you flying everywhere. You really don't know where you're going to go next, and every element just throws you around. This is an incredible experience, and you can't miss it when you go to Park Streaks. Number 6. Twisted Timbers at King's Dominion. Twisted Timbers is a solid, small-scale RMC sitting at the back of King's Dominion. Every bit of airtime on this ride is absolute ejector, and the inversions are pretty great too. The Twisted Drop is also worth pointing out, as it's a pretty cool and unique drop. Not a lot of coasters out there do this. This is the top coaster from this park to make it to this list, because unfortunately, Intimidator 305 was closed when I was there. Hopefully next time I get to King's Dominion, you'll see I-305 appearing on the same list. Number 5. Totatus at Park Streaks. Totatus is the European equivalent to Pantheon at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, and it's great. The swing launch section has crazy airtime that absolutely throws you up out of your seat. And everything after the top hat is just an insane barrage of elements that seemingly never ends. It's also worth noting that I rode this in the rain, which just completely adds to the already amazing experience. I see that putting this above Gotham City Escape is a pretty controversial opinion right now, but I just had a much better time on this ride than I did on Gotham City Escape. Number 4. Flying Dinosaur Coaster at Universal Studios Japan. The Flying Dinosaur is a ride I've always wanted to get on. Before I got on it, I had the expectation of this ride being an insane and crazy experience. And it lived up to all of those expectations, and more. Flying Dinosaur throws you through some crazy inversions while you're sitting in the flying position, and every element hits hard. I got 4 rides on this on my day to Universal Studios Japan, and I'll definitely try to get more on my next visit. Number 3. Hakuge. Hakuge feels like a small-scale RMC hybrid, such as the previously mentioned Twisted Timbers, but brought up to a larger scale, while still keeping that small RMC intensity. Every element hits hard, and every bit of airtime feels like some of the best ejector I've ever experienced. This ride may only have 2 inversion elements, but everything else is filled with airtime and you are constantly getting ejector. This is by far the best ride at Nagashima Spa Land, and it is 100% a top 3 coaster in Japan. Number 2. Ride to Happiness at Plopsaland Japan. One of the most insane coasters in the world. Ride to Happiness has you riding a crazy coaster with inversions while you spin. You can hit every element on this ride in so many different ways, from just the direction you're facing to how much you are spinning, giving this ride a lot of reasons to re-ride. After all, you want to experience this incredible ride in as many different ways as possible. On my visit, I got 45 rides in one day, and honestly, I don't think that was enough. Number 1. Asianica at Fuji-Q Highland. What isn't there to say about Asianica? Without a doubt, in my opinion, it is the best ride in the world, and it isn't even close. The wild experience this ride gives is only present on a few rides across the world, and Asianica does it to such a high degree of quality. 249 feet, 78 miles per hour, and so many rotations on your seat. So what makes Asianica so special? Well, the seats rotate with the ride, meaning you could do stuff like facing down during the big drop and going backwards through elements. How would you feel facing down dropping from nearly 250 feet? Asianica will be a hard ride to top in the future, and it'll definitely be interesting to see how close next year's number 1 new credit for me will come to Asianica. So those are my top 15 new coasters I got on this year for the first time. I know a few of these are pretty controversial placements, but I hope you all still enjoyed the list. Please drop your rankings in the comments below. I'd love to see your lists. Don't forget to subscribe, and maybe leave a like and comment to help out the video in the algorithm. I've been Eterna. Peace.